Hi there. I want to talk about compassion fatigue. I think it's a really important topic and it's one that we don't really talk about enough. Now, before I get into the main subject, can you leave me a comment down below and let me know what you do for self care? What is your ideal self care and do you give yourself time for that? Let's crowdsource some self care ideas because it can be really difficult when you have compassion fatigue to work out how to give yourself that time. So, compassion fatigue is usually associated with frontline workers, people like nurses and doctors who are having to give compassion all day. Um, and support people through a difficult situation. It was really talked about a lot during COVID, but it is usually just associated. And I say just, these people deserve us to talk about compassion fatigue when they're looking after our loved ones. It's also teachers and carers and people who care at home for someone, whether that's a disabled or elderly relative or children, partners, you know, it can come in many forms. For me, it's kind of all of those things. I'm not a frontline worker, but I spend a lot of time talking to people about their mental health, and I can get compassion fatigue from that. I'm also, because of the PTSD, really conscious of social and legal justice and wrongdoing and, all of those things. So I'm involved in being compassionate in just a whole host of ways. You can see that in my videos talking about Michael Cohen or, telling truth to power and all of those other things. I am very focused on compassion for people, whether I know them or not. The problem with that is I can get overwhelmed. Now, I have a big capacity for compassion. That comes from training very early on when I was tiny, all the way through my childhood. And into my teens, it was very much my feelings don't matter, how I feel doesn't matter, my opinion doesn't matter. Other people came first. And I learnt to read a room very quickly over mood and where I stood with things. There were still surprises. I was always told I was selfish and that I didn't care about other people. And all of that's not true. But it meant that my capacity to push down my own feelings and put everyone else first became very damaging. It started off as a defense mechanism, a way of protecting myself, but that very quickly became a way of punishing myself, a way of finding ways to make everything my fault so I could fix it. And that continued. I ended up surrounded by people who continued that thought process that they came first, that they were more important. It's only through therapy that I've realized that that isn't the case. Now, there are emergency situations, there are terrible situations. You swing into action and you look out for the other person because it's a desperate situation. However, the rest of the time, we need to be looking after ourselves. I need to be looking after myself. Because there's only so much of us to go around. And if we're not caring for ourselves, there is less of us to help other people. We need to be a whole person and a well looked after person to be able to pass that on to someone else. And I am definitely in the phase of compassion fatigue. Not because I don't care anymore. Now, it can lead to feelings of apathy and anger and all sorts of other stuff. For me, it makes me depressed and tired, and it can kick off the PTSD. There's a book called The Body Keeps Score, and I love this phrase because it's true. Now, I will link the book in the description. I'm an Amazon affiliate, so I may get a little bit of commission if you decide to buy the book, but it's well worth it because it's true. I feel it when I am down, when I'm depressed, when I'm going through a PTSD episode, my body absolutely kicks in and keeps score. If I don't take that time to look after myself, my body then kicks in. Today I have high pain levels, high fatigue levels. My joints don't feel right. I have changed sensation. I have a migraine because of the pain. It travels up because I'm walking differently and I'm favoring one leg over the other. Today is a day for knee supports and hot water bottles and, lots and lots of painkillers. And it's because I didn't take that moment. Now, the first thing in compassion fatigue is recognizing when it's kicking in, awareness of when you start exhibiting those symptoms of compassion fatigue. So a couple of days ago, when I released my ranty video, I should have noticed. That was my first clue that I was entering this phase. Now, it's not that I don't care. I do. I still want to work on the situation for Pablo and Victor. I still want to bring Victor home and spread awareness. But I've done everything I can think of right now to do that. The next phase, number 2, is self-care. It's a phrase that gets thrown around and it almost doesn't mean anything anymore. And it's why I've asked you what you do for self-care. Because I get to a point where I can't think about myself. So I don't know what I need to do for self-care. I forget what I can do. And I want to know what you do for self-care so we can crowdsource some ideas. Now, I'm aware enough at the moment to be able to say, okay, I need some creative time. I need a bit of peace and quiet. That's not going to happen, as you can hear in the background. That is not going to happen today. I need a bit of peace, quiet. I need to be creative. I'm going to carry on making some stuff with crochet. Just for the joy of making something, not because I have to, no pressure on it. And when I can, I'm going to take some time for me. It's going to be a couple of days before I can do that, but I'm making plans for what I'm going to do with that time. And it's really difficult to find time for ourselves. But right now I have so much going on. My other half and his dad are doing work on our new place. I've got to look after the kids. I need to feed everyone. I need to do laundry. All of these things have to happen. I can't not make dinner. I can't not do stuff. And yes, I'm taking time out to do this because this is part of my process. This is being creative and talking to you and showing that this is normal and you are not alone, and it doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you a bad person. And if, like me, you need some outside validation and permission to look after yourself, I am giving you that permission. Take that time. We've got Easter coming up. If you have any time off over Easter, take a day, take an hour, have a bubble bath, go for a walk, do something for yourself, because you are important. You matter. You matter just as much as anyone else. And you should matter to yourself more. That's not me encouraging you to be selfish or self-centered or narcissistic. This is me encouraging you to look after yourself so you are this whole person, so that you can keep giving to other people. Turning compassion into action also applies to us. We need compassion for ourselves as much as other people. So put that into action. Tell me what you're going to do to give yourself some self-care over the next few days. Tell me what your comfort thing is. And yeah, let's pull some resources. Thank you so much for listening to me today. I appreciate you being here, and I will speak to you soon.